We are excited to be joined once again by Kevin Pryor. He is a sports journalist and co-producer and radio host of the 950 Lounge Show and, of course, the host of DSN Sports Weekly and now a contributor for Fansided. He's going to have some work dropping over there soon, so be on the lookout for that. Kevin, thanks for coming on the show again, man. We've got some fun football to talk about once again. The college football playoffs are rolling. We had you on for the first round games, of course. I'm just going to mention briefly, I was the only one that picked each one of the games correctly, by the way. But we're here for the quarterfinals, big-time matchups. Let's kick this off, Kevin. You're the guest, of course, so let's start with you. The first game, Fiesta Bowl, the 3-seed Boise State taking on the 8-seed Penn State. Nittany Lions, Penn State, big favorite in this one, 11.5 points last I checked. Who do you like in this matchup and why?
Well, first and foremost, guys, thank you so much for having me back. Happy 2025 to you and your viewers. And I'm glad you had me back after I picked SMU, which didn't turn out too well. But with this game here, obviously, the Fiesta Bowl, New Year's Eve, right before the ball drops, you're talking about a bowl game that has a lot of lineage for both teams. One of the biggest runs in Boise State history, the behind the back handoff and the running back proposing to his girlfriend happened in the Fiesta Bowl many years ago. Penn State beat Miami in the Miami Fatigue Bowl many years ago. Probably started the whole new wave of college football with 1 and 2 playing for national championships. So this game is going to be solid. Now, obviously, leading to what we're talking about for this year, Penn State really dominated SMU. I saw something in Penn State I hadn't seen in all year. Obviously Abdul Carter's, you guys are pro guys, top 5 pick, can get to the quarterback. Their offense is starting to get it together. They can run the ball well. But obviously on the other side, the Heisman Trophy runner-up, Ashton Jeanty, a lot to prove. Penn State's probably going to stack the box. It only makes sense. If we're going to lose the game, we're going to lose the game with you throwing the ball. Again, I mean, no rhyme or reason, but if I'm being smart, how can I go against Penn State? Again, just like I said, Ashton Jeanty, I think will have a game, even with, Penn State really focusing on him. But Carter's a stud. Quinecki, the tight end, I think I might be blowing his name up, 44 for Penn State. He's a stud. They line him up all around the field. He's your poor version of Travis Hunter. Penn State wins this game 24-14. Nittany Lions get to the semifinal.
Okay, yeah. So, but you think so? A score like that, you think Boise State could cover at least, maybe make this somewhat interesting? It sounds like. Alex, what do you think here with this matchup? What are you looking for?
I'm looking to see for one thing and one thing only, if Jeanty can get 131 yards, well, I guess 132 plus yards to break Barry Sanders' record, which I think Penn State was going to want to have to say and make a statement about not allowing him to do so. So I'm definitely big on Penn State here. I like what I saw from Drew Allar. I know we had last week, there was a lot, and there's actually from Penn State fans that I've spoken to, to the point that we mentioned, there is this thing about James Franklin in these big games. So they did show up. I mean, I know it was only SMU, but they did show up. But I think again here, I think Penn State is going to roll Boise State. And again, the only thing that I'm really looking for here is if, which I'm pretty sure for tomorrow as well as this upcoming weekend with Saquon Barkley, we're going to be looking to see if he's respectfully Ashton Jeanty, if he can beat Barry Sanders, and then on Sunday Saquon Barkley and Eric Dickerson. But I don't even think 132 yards. I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think
Penn State allows him to beat him. I mean, yeah. I think again it's going to have to be a phenomenal game by the Boise State offense, and they haven't played a defensive front at Penn State all year. I think Penn State obviously in this new 12-team format has benefited from the seeding. And they'll get to the semifinal. I would love to see Boise win. I always go with the underdog. I mean, again, the little engine that could. They wearing shirts around Boise talking about count us out. I love it, but I just can't see them beating Penn State. I made that mistake once. I won't make that mistake twice.
Yeah, for me, I think Penn State, because we've got teams like Texas and Georgia, we talk about some of these other teams in this playoff and their defense. I think sometimes their defense gets a little overlooked. This is one of the most complete defenses in the country. They rank 6th nationally in scoring defense, 7th in rushing defense in the country. That's big time. They can stop the run, and they're 17th in passing defense. This is a very complete unit for the Penn State Nittany Lions on that side of the ball. Now, Boise State, on the other hand, has the 3rd best scoring offense in the country, almost 40 points a game. They can really get it rolling, and we know it obviously starts and ends with Ashton Jeanty. I think that's got to be the key to this game. I hate to simplify it so much because it doesn't seem very in-depth analysis here, but it's really the truth, because if Penn State can slow down Jeanty and get them into 3rd and long, I think that's the key, because to your point, Abdul Carter is a wrecking ball, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I think he becomes a real factor if they can get them in 3rd and long. Now, for Boise State, obviously that means staying on schedule, getting those 3rd and shorts, and getting manageable down and distance and keeping ahead of the chains can keep this in this ball game. Now, Boise State's offensive line, underrated unit. This is a good group here, but how are they going to perform versus this Penn State front 7? I think that's going to be key. And then on the other side, everyone's talking about Jeanty, but look, Penn State's running backs are really, really a good group with Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton, plus tight end Tyler Warren. I mean, the all-everything player.
Yeah.
I just think it's too much firepower. I think this is one of those games where, look, it would be great to see Boise State advance. It'd be great to see Jeanty and these guys pull a big upset. I just can't see it. I think there's too much firepower for Penn State. I'm going to lay the 11.5 points. I think they roll, and I think, to your point with James Franklin and some of the misses he's had in big spots, I think this team's motivated to kind of show something this year. I think they flexed in this game.
Hey, Brad, before you move on, quick question. Drew Lar, is he coming out? Do you come out? If you're him, do you come out?
You know, in a quarterback class like this, maybe. And you know, it just kind of depends on how he feels about going back, getting like, for me, I would advise him to go back. I think he's got some more polish that he can develop. I like what I've seen from him the second half of the year, especially, but I think he could really add to his draft stock if he puts together another good campaign next season.
I think he's definitely back.
Yeah,
Definitely back?
I
Okay.
think it's the right move, but I do think, you know, it's interesting. You know, this isn't a very deep quarterback class, so I would love to be able to sit in a room and see what kind of advice and what kind of grades he's getting from the NFL scouts right now. It'd be very interesting to see, but we'll save some of that for April, of course. The Peach Bowl, number 5 seed Texas, number 4 seed Arizona State. Texas, big favorite in this one, 12.5 point favorite. Kevin, once again, the guest on the show. So why don't you start us off here? What are you looking for in this matchup, and who do you like in this game?
Well, you know, I'll start with the Sun Devils. I mean, you're talking about a team that was picked dead last to place in the Big 12. They come up, they win the league. You know, obviously Cam Scatterboo, you know, Mike All-Star 2.0 is really, you know, taking the country by storm. Kenny Dillingham, their head coach, 33 years old, you know, the native son of Tempe, Arizona, is really, you know, showing out. You know, Arizona State's done some nice things, some really nice things. But again, this is a situation where Texas, again, their running game, you know, the athletes they can put in. Even Hewers played well in the last game against Clemson, and then obviously they got the ultimate super sub and Arch Manning sitting in the wings. I just, again, I you know, Sarkisian in that group, I think, are primed to be a team that can win it all. And while I like Arizona State, and I'm always a Big 12 fan, I think Texas rolls in this one, 31-14. Again, like I said, I mean, also not to mention that Peach Bowl will be all orange for Texas. They will make that trip to Georgia and spend New Year's. Arizona State, they're starting to get a little fan base. I mean, it was a time where I heard from people I know who know that program well. They were giving away tickets at Burger King. So all of a sudden now, I mean, they've won the Big 12 and come out of nowhere. But I just don't think they're ready right now. Great season for the Sun Devils, but it ends in the Peach Bowl. And again, 31-14 Longhorns.
I will start off by saying I'm bound by contract to always say Cam Scatterbo whenever we talk about Arizona State. I love that kid's name. Well, yeah, I expect Texas to roll. I'm like you, Kevin. It's not a lot to really talk about here. I expect those guys to roll, but I also expect Scatterbo to actually perhaps make a statement. He did make a statement when he was at that podium and said, "I am the best running back in the league." Despite
he said that again yesterday.
He said it yesterday too.
Yeah, he's going to make plays. He's talking.
Okay, well, you know what? That's what I like to see. And win lose, we know you're going up against the big bad SEC. We know how that goes in the narrative. The spread 13 points. Yeah, I'm comfortable picking Texas to cover that, but I'm also I would actually take I would also take a bet on Scatterbo to have over 100 yards. I'm not sure what his play may be, but I do see that. And Brad, you know this. I say Texas they're going to roll, but I'm still going to maintain until Arch Manning is in that driver's seat. I don't see Texas making it all the way. But, however, since we'll just take this step by step, I do see them easily taking care of business against Arizona State, to the fact that we might even see Arch in this game.
And obviously, Isaiah Bond is nicked up a little bit. He had the injury, but I just don't see it even with him. Being nicked up that Texas falters.
Yeah, Sun Devils, you mentioned it. This is the true Cinderella story here. I mean, like you said, picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, been wildly disrespected, to go and win the conference year one after leaving the Pac-12. I mean, hats off to Kenny Dillingham and this program. Absolutely. I mean, he's got this program headed in the right direction. There's no doubt about it. I think he's a great offensive mind, a great play caller. We saw what he did at Oregon before he got this job. He's carried it over to Arizona State, excuse me. But shifting to Texas here, because I think that's the focus, right? Texas is the team that I think they're one of these teams that can absolutely win the whole thing. Steve Sarkisian, the offensive play caller, the offensive mind, they get a lot of the attention. But look, I've said it earlier, they're led by their defense, and they have been all season. This defense is absolutely legit. They've got playmakers at all three levels. The secondary is for real. I mean, really, really lights out. The front seven can create havoc. It's just a lot for this Arizona State team to handle. Now, the offense, I think they took a little bit of a step back from 2023. Quinn Ewers, he's been solid, a little up and down, a little inconsistent, and the run game has been a little inconsistent. We know they have players. We know they can run the ball, but we don't know when they're going to show up always. And to your guys' point, Scatterbo, look, he's been, he's been one of the best running backs in college football this season. 92 missed tackles. He leads all of the Power 4 running backs in the country in that category. I mean, this guy is really, really something else. So if they're going to win this game or compete in this game, he's going to have to be the best player on the field, and he just might be. He's that fun to watch. Now, Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, I think he's one of the least talked about freshmen in the country this year, and I've been talking his praises a little bit because I think this kid really has a lot of potential. The one big factor for him is they're going to be without their top receiver, Jordan Tyson.
Correct.
And I think that really, really hurts. In a game like this where you really are going up against a lot of firepower, this is a guy who led the nation in receiving yards over the final 9 weeks of the regular season. Really good player. I think that's a big, big loss versus this Texas defense. I also think there's a big mismatch on both lines of scrimmage. I think Texas has a big advantage on the defense and offensive lines, but, and it's a big but here, this Longhorns team has struggled to put people away all season. And we see it time and time again, even against inferior talent, they find a way to let teams hang around. So I've got Texas winning this game, but from a betting standpoint, give me the 12.5. I think Arizona State finds a way to make this close enough to cover that number. Maybe even a backdoor cover here, but I think Texas just, like I said, they find ways to keep these teams in these games. I think Arizona's going to play with a huge chip on their shoulder. So I expect this game to be maybe a little closer than the experts think here.
Wow.
Let's move to the granddaddy of them all. What a matchup this is.
Yeah.
This one, I think everybody's circling the most expensive college football playoff tickets out of all these games. The number 1 Oregon Ducks, the number 8 Ohio State Buckeyes, and a Big Ten rematch. Ohio State right now, last I checked, is a 2.5-point favorite. As we know, Oregon got the better of Ohio State earlier this season and really what might have been one of the best games of the year in college football. Unbelievable that we get the rematch. Kevin, who do you like here? What are you looking for in this matchup?
As a kid growing up in New York, New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl, 4:45, 5 o'clock, brick cold here, and it's like, wow, why am I in New York? 80 degrees in LA and Pasadena. This is again the granddaddy of them all. Not to mention, to me, the best game of the playoffs so far. 2 teams that I feel like the winner of this game will get to the championship, maybe even pick up the trophy. You're talking about Oregon and start with them undefeated. Obviously, with their situation, they can beat you any way you want. Obviously, great quarterback play, excellent O-line, great defenders. They can do it all. Solid coaching staff, really innovative coaching staff with that group. And then obviously Ohio State. Redemption comes quick. For most people, you got to wait some time to get redemption. After the Michigan loss, excellent win against Tennessee, did their thing, really looked phenomenal against Tennessee. Jeremiah Smith, if the draft left freshman in, he'd be a top 10 pick, and you guys know that just better than me. He'd be a top 10 pick right now. Will Howard's playing well. Jenkins in that group in the backfield. I like the Buckeyes. And I know people say, hey, Oregon beat them early, but they only beat them by a very small amount of points with a 1 or 2 point game. Ohio State's really been great unless they play the albatross of Michigan. Michigan's now on the field set Wednesday. So I think, again, Ohio State will win this game. I like the Buckeyes in this tournament. I know, like I said, people, Ohio State fans and, Alex, we heard the hoopla with those groups. Yeah. But the reality is that this team here can beat you any way you want. How do you like it? I know Dylan Gabriel's solid for Oregon. And, I know a young man over there, Johnny Cornelius, tackle. But I got to go with the Buckeyes. And I think the Buckeyes will win in a classic game, 24-21. I think it'll go back and forth. But I think Ryan Day gets some redemption. And I think he gets it in the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy from all on Wednesday.
Yeah, Kev, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not even sure if this would even be considered upset, given that at least the spread I see, Brad, you might have something different. I see the spread at 2.5 at this point. But yeah, I think Ohio State realized something in that first game that I think they made a mistake on now. And it's a small, and I want to say it's a mistake. It's just a small adjustment. I think they should run the ball more. I think Trayvon Henderson was highly underutilized in that game. He was running almost, I think, about 9 yards a clip. He only ran the ball like maybe 10, 11 times. I think they're going to use the running game a little bit more. They're going to slow this game down. They don't want it to be a track meet. I like how they're set up on defense, and I like how their running game is set up with Judkins and Henderson. So I think they're going to be able to do some things. And let's be clear. You mentioned him, but let's not forget Emeka Buka as well. They can't stop those wide receivers, and I think that Chip Kelly saw that, so they're going to be able to take advantage of that. So I expect actually the key to this game is to be that Ohio State offensive line and that running game, and then you're going to sprinkle in Jeremiah Smith. I don't think they're both guys that have 100 because I don't think it's going to be a track meet. So take your pick. I guess put your player bet on Jeremiah Smith, but I would definitely lay something. Player bet on Trayvon Henderson to have over 100, to have over 100 yards in this game, and for them to control the clock and not turn this into a track meet and then to impose their will. And I don't know if it's adjudication for Ryan Day because I think expectation is really the chip, but I think he's going to perhaps save his job for another year. I don't know about Chip Kelly, but I know he's going to save his job.
I think Chip, when you think about who he's going against, his old team again, Oregon, in the Rose Bowl, familiar place for him in past years. You mentioned the run. I think they're much more effective when they throw the ball. I think when they get Will Howard on the run, and he's got those track stars that can run 9 routes like they run out of style, I think that's when they're aggressive. It seemed like they got in trouble when they let run first when they play Michigan. And I think Oregon has that type of beef inside that can give them problems. I like them when they're on the outside where the run dictates the pass dictates the run.
Okay.
And now you got that two-headed monster. But again, like I said, they really have a situation where it's kind of pick your poison on the offensive side. And I think, again, Kelly will be motivated going against the Ducks. And I think I think we as the fans, the football junkies are the ones that are going to benefit from them. This is going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah, I can't imagine a blowout either way. I just can't. I think this game, the spread is tight for a reason. We saw it move a little bit. I think it opened at 1, saw it move to 2, 3, even saw it at one point get up to 4, and then quickly the pro money started pouring in on Oregon because they realized, look, that's way too much value to be getting on Oregon because people know, look, they can beat this team. But when I look at this matchup, Ohio State's defense has been absolutely lights out, except when they played Oregon. Oregon scored 32 points on this team. Since that point, Ohio State ranks number 1 nationally in fewest yards allowed per play, yards per game, and points surrendered per game since that game. They've been absolutely lights out. Now, the secondary hasn't allowed a passing touchdown since the game versus Oregon. That's how good they've been, but and here's the but, because last time Oregon absolutely lit up this secondary. Dylan Gabriel and those wide receivers torched these guys. They had no answers for the Ducks on the outside. They attacked that perimeter of that Ohio State defense. They really picked on cornerback Denzel Burke. Now, these corners, I think, have been the one weak spot on this Ohio State Buckeyes defense. And when you've got the speed and the players on the outside that Oregon has, you said it, Kevin. They want it to be a track meet. I like Oregon. If this turns into a track meet, I think Oregon has what it takes to win this game. To Alex's point, I think Ohio State knows that. I think they have to find a way to slow this game down because they don't want to get in a shootout with Gabriel and these guys. Even though we know they can play that style, I think it favors them to try to run the ball here. The talent in the trenches between these two teams is crazy.
NFL style talent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The amount of NFL players on the offensive and defensive lines for these two teams is absolutely tremendous. Ohio State's offensive line I thought was really impressive versus Tennessee. Can they do it again? Because that was kind of a big question mark. We know that Tennessee front seven is really good. They played probably their best game of the year up front. Oregon's defensive lineman, Jordan Birch, didn't play last time against the Buckeyes.
Right.
He's probably their best defender, definitely an NFL caliber player, and he's back for this game. I think that's a player to watch in this matchup. Now, Oregon's defense struggled in their last game against Penn State, really probably had one of their most shaky performances on that side of the ball all year. I don't think they can afford that kind of performance against this Ohio State team. I think that defense has got to play better than they did recently, especially with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. If those guys can get it going on the ground, I think it's really going to bode well for Ohio State. I think Ohio State, look, lights out last time. This game was lights out. I think Oregon, I think they might have peaked mid-season because this team has been, they keep winning, but they haven't looked as good as they were in the middle of the year where they really did look like the number one team, and they keep winning because they're a very talented team and they can certainly win this game. But Ohio State was playing their best football at the right time right now. And I think that bodes well for Ohio State. I've got Ohio State, and I think they cover in a very good game and a very close game in what could be a Rose Bowl Classic.
Mentioned that because I get the same impression with Oregon. And it's something to be said for winning games. Obviously, the next team we'll talk about finds a way to win as well. But I just seen like Ohio State in this tournament. And again, this is uncharted territory for a lot of these teams. We've been playing 14 playoff. You win one game in the national championship. This is a tournament. This is a month's worth of football, new football. And I think Ohio State, right now is that first game actually benefited them. Maybe Oregon, we have to see how they come out. This is their first game in a few weeks since the Big Ten championship. Will they be rusty? And I guess all the teams that had to buy. But for this particular game, I think, Oregon's got to get into a groove early. They can't let Ohio State come out and dictate early because then they could, really be trouble for the Ducks.
All right, let's move on to the final game here. I think this is a really, really good matchup. I'm excited for this game. Sugar Bowl, number 2, Georgia Bulldogs, number 7, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Georgia right now is a 1.5-point favorite. Kevin, I'll start with you once again. Who do you like in this matchup, and why? What are you looking for in this matchup, and where do you think it leads to?
Well, obviously with Georgia, I mean, Kirby Smart's probably now the dean of college football after Saban retired. They're just a team that finds a way to win. They had no business beating Georgia Tech several weeks back, Thanksgiving weekend. They found a way to win. The Texas game, they lose their star quarterback, Carson Beck, in the SEC championship. They find a way to win. They bring a guy, Gunnar Stockton, the Rudy story, start the band playing Jeff Hostel in 1991, all the cliches. And they find a way to win. Georgia just reloads. And again, I'm a big fan of Marcus Freeman. I like what they do. I think Notre Dame, out of any team in this tournament, understands their identity. They know what they do. They know they try to shy away from things they don't do well. They don't throw the ball well. So they try to shy away from that. They get Riley Leonard to do some more, creative stuff. This game will be a classic. And I think most people will think, wow, hey, Beck is out and he's, surgery. Who's Gunnar Stockton? Gunnar Stockton can ball.
Yep.
And that game being at the Sugar Bowl, New Orleans, will be a de facto. That might as well be at Stanford Stadium. Might as well be in Athens. That is going to be a classic. And as much as I really want to see Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame win, I don't think they got the firepower to keep up with Georgia. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think the Bulldogs find a way to win again. They'll probably have some lulls like they always do. But it seems that this team here has a heart of a lion. When they played Alabama weeks ago in the season and they were getting torched in the first half and they come back and they probably should have won the game. Kirby has this group. They just have a way. They don't lose focus. They have lulls, but they find a way to win. And I think they'll find a way to win with their backup quarterback on Wednesday. Give me the Dogs. Even though I'm it's hard for me to say, give me the Dogs, 28-24.
Yeah, you know what? I like Marcus Freeman. I'm a fan. I was happy when he got that job, but I just think, and I thought it all season long, that they chose the wrong quarterback to come in. I think they needed somebody that can kind of get vertical, and you can get a mobile QB, but you need somebody that could have gotten vertical there as well. It'd been interesting if they could have gone Cam. Well, but that's another story. So, but yeah, I don't like Dylan Gabriel. I didn't like him when he was at. I'm sorry, not Dylan Gabriel. I did not like Riley when he was at Riley Leonard when he was at Duke. I didn't like him all year long. And Brad knows this. I think I had been picking again. I think I picked Army, right, to beat Notre Dame.
You did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had picked Army to beat Notre Dame because I was just like, I don't like this kid at all. And it's nothing against him personally. It's just the way that I think you're going to need to play in this playoffs to actually have a true run. And I just don't think they have enough firepower. And to your point, Kev, yeah, I think Gunnar Stockton, personally, I think Gunnar Stockton's the better quarterback. And I think he's a little bit more excitable, similar to how not as much as how I feel about Archie Manning over Quinn Ewers. I'm going to keep pushing that narrative until I make it come true. But I do like Gunnar Stockton a lot more. That defense is really going to, I think Kirby's going to get I don't want to say creative. I think he's going to blitz a lot and say, you know what? We're going to make you throw the ball.
Yeah.
And we're going to trust that if you beat us, then fine, we'll adjust. But if not, we feel that we can push you and force you into some errors because you're going to have to throw the ball, and that's not your strong suit. And that's how I would play this game. I would dare say from my Madden days, come out in 46 defense, but I won't be so disrespectful. But I'm definitely going, I'm having single coverage on the outsides, and I'm bringing the fire, I'm bringing the heat, I'm bringing the house, the kitchen, whatever, the baby with the bath, whatever. I'm bringing everything, and I'm going to see how he feels. I'm going to make him very uncomfortable as soon as he steps on that field.
Yeah.
Oh, and all that to say is I'm taking Georgia, and I don't understand why it's only. Well, I guess Gunnar Stockton's why it's 1 point. Brad is probably what you'll say to me, but yeah, I think it should be at least 5.
Yeah, look, Georgia might be the most talented team in college football. To your point, Kevin, about them reloading, we know this team has been an NFL factory, a 5-star factory for the last several years. I think you look at these teams in the college football playoff, Georgia Texas, and Oregon kind of stand out to me. Just ridiculous rosters loaded with talent. This Georgia team, like I said, might be as good as any of them. But to your guys' point with Gunnar Stockton, look, I like what I saw from this kid. There's no doubt about it. But this is his first start, and it's in the college football playoff on the brightest of lights on the biggest stage against Notre Dame's elite defense. Notre Dame leads the FBS with 13 interceptions. They have elite man coverage corners in this game. Georgia's receiving weapons, look, they've been limited all year on the outside. They don't have playmakers on the outside like they have in years past. And they're going to need to win some of those matchups on the outside. I'm not sure they can versus this Notre Dame secondary. I think they're going to have a real problem throwing the ball. Notre Dame's corners, look, they play on an island. They play a lot of cover one, and they put those corners on an island because they know how elite they are. And that allows Notre Dame to put an extra guy in the box to stop the run. And look, if you look, this is a little nerding out here, but the deep analytics here will tell you Georgia has struggled this year against 8-man fronts. And I expect a lot of that. Marcus Freeman has got to be excited to see that on tape because that's something they already do really well. This, I think, could be a very low-scoring game. I think it could be a fist fight. These two teams, I don't expect a lot of fireworks in this game. I think it's going to come down to which rushing attack finds more success. I think that's really going to be key in this game, and especially in the red zone and on third down, those key conversions are going to be huge. Look, Georgia, they've only hit the 150-yard rushing mark 3 times all season. Once against Clemson, which was in the opener. The other 2 were against some real powerhouse teams here, Tennessee Tech and UMass. So, yeah, these guys have not exactly ran the ball well all season. And I think Notre Dame's defense, look, this defense, they don't miss tackles.
Yeah.
They don't miss assignments. This is one of the most disciplined, well-coached teams in this playoff.
Jordan Clark and that secondary can play monster back. Ryan Clark's kid. Yeah, you're right on that. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, this defense is lights out. They really are. And look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Georgia. We know how talented this team is. We know how well coached this team is. I think that Notre Dame, though, with this defense and their ability, like I said, to take away the pass, especially against this young quarterback, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Gunnar Stockton to make throws and to make plays, especially on third down. And versus, like I said, maybe the best secondary in college football, I think Notre Dame wins this game outright. I've got the upset here. I think Notre Dame finds a way to get this done, and that's going to be my pick here in this game.
Hey, let me tell you something, Brad. If that happens, you know the space at Kev 2, you know the spaces we share is going to be on fire, as we share a lot of friends in that how do we say southern region.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could happen. Listen, I think obviously Marcus Freeman has got that team really working. People were kind of down on him as a coach after the Northern Illinois loss and things of that nature, but it wouldn't surprise me. I just think that when you think about that Sugar Bowl, it's going to be a road game for Notre Dame. I mean, that place will be 95%, red. So,
I'm going to push back on that, Kevin, only for this reason. I think, typically speaking, that would be the case because of the regional tie-in. You would think they'd be in heavy advantage, but we have to remember, though, Notre Dame is a national brand.
True.
This is a big fan base in its own right.
Yeah,
and they're going to travel because this is one of the biggest games they've played in several years. They know they've got a real squad here and a chance in this game. I would not be surprised if this is a lot more of a neutral site than we would expect in a Georgia Sugar Bowl. So I think to your point, you're right. I think typically we would probably, and it probably still will lean a little Georgia here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a lot closer to 60-40 and we actually see a lot of blue and gold in the stands here, just because Notre Dame fans, they come from all over the country. Right? Yeah. They really
national brand.
Yeah. Big time national brand. I can't wait for these games. This has been an absolute blast. I can't wait for these. I know you guys are excited to watch them too. Look, once again, guys, we want to thank Kevin Pryor for joining us tonight. He is a sports journalist, a co-producer and radio host of the 950 The Lounge Show. He's also the host of the DSN Sports Weekly, and now a contributor for Fansided. He's going to have some great stuff coming on. Going to have some great stuff.
Hey, Brad, you know what? Before we sign off, this is our last show for 2024. So just make sure we give a salute to everybody. Happy New Year and everything. Hope your 25 is better than your 24.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Happy 2025.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. PGF Nation and all you guys out there, if you enjoyed the episode, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes here on YouTube. Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you next time.